All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, another NBA regular season video. In this video, we're going to talk about the start of rivalry week. I'm going to have a hard time saying that, or rivalry week. I think it's 1 week of rivalries. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Two of the games are really good. Two of them were but we'll talk about them nonetheless. We have some Knicks stuff to talk about from the other day that I want to continue to talk about. We also have some Lakers and LeBron James stuff that came out yesterday that I really want to get into. So if you like what I say, like the video. If you have any opinions, comment it down below. And if you just like the vibes, consider subscribing. So first things first, we are going to talk about these Tuesday games because these Tuesday games were the far superior games, in my opinion. Those games being Spurs at Rockets, Lakers in Denver to play the Nuggets, and then the Wednesday night games. They were kind of they were okay. Cavs versus the Charlotte Hornets in Charlotte, and then the Thunder in Milwaukee to play the Bucks. Um, First things first, we're gonna talk about rivalries week in a minute here, like as a whole. Um, I'm very curious, just as I've gone through these games. One, what the hell are the Cavs and the Charlotte Hornets rivals? Like, when did the NBA decide that was a thing? I don't remember that rivalry. And two, when were the Thunder and Bucks like rivals? Like they saw each other one time in the NBA Cup, and that was it. Is seeing each other one time in the NBA Cup count as like a rivalry now? I guess it does. um, that's just the beginning of my thoughts about rivalry week. The first one though, the start to rivalry week, tongue twister. San Antonio Spurs in Houston to play the Rockets. Now this is a rivalry I can get behind. I actually like this rivalry. I've liked the many iterations of it, and this one was a bit hectic. The beginning of this game was delayed by I guess like 40-50 minutes because one of the rims was bent, and I turned on the game. I even turned on the game like 10-12 minutes late. And I was like, oh, the game's gonna start. And then I see they somebody somebody's tugging at the rim, somebody's trying to fix it, and then they bring out the ladder, and that's a whole thing. And then the Spurs go back in their locker room, and then obviously because it's only one rim, the Rockets are still on the floor practicing on their rim. It was a whole big thing. It was like a 40-minute wait. The games were delayed by a lot. The next game, Lakers at Nuggets, was delayed. But it wasn't delayed. It was pushed back a little bit, I should say, um, at least on the broadcast. So you have that to start this rivalry week. Um, Spurs versus Rockets. This was not a good game for the Spurs. It was not a good game. I was very disappointed in the Spurs. I'm very disappointed in Miss Johnson, their coach, not coaching his best basketball as of late. I've voiced my concerns about Mitch Johnson. Um, my last Spurs video when I talked about them, I just it's a tough watch. It's a tough watch sometimes, and I have to remind myself, and I think everybody should remind themselves. This is a very young Spurs team. Victor Wembanyama, the star player, is only in his second season. Second? Yeah, second. Oh my god! Now I'm questioning myself. Is he in his second season? I think he is, right? Second. He's only in his second season. Yeah, second season. Um, he still looks a little raw. Um, there's some unnecessary movements in his game, but overall, 14 points, 0 of 7 from three, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, no blocks, no steals, very uncharacteristic, and 4 personal fouls. Now, when I say he does a lot of unnecessary moves, he does a lot of unnecessary moves just out of, how do you say, repetition, because that's how he's been learning the moves in the post, at the perimeter, the dribble moves, and all that stuff. But the Rockets are going to make you work, man. The Rockets have so many bodies to make a guy like Victor Wembanyama work. Kevin Durant, Jabari Smith, Alperen Sengun, Ahmed Thompson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Tari Eason, Clint Capella. Like the list goes on and on. And it was not a it was a rough game for Wemby, and this is probably one of the worst games I've ever seen him play. And the Rockets just dismantled this Spurs team from the jump, from the start of the game. The star for the Spurs, an unlikely source, Julian Champagnie, who I've been very impressed with this first half of the season. 27 points the other night, 8 of 16 from three, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals in only 34 minutes. He was the bright spot, or one of the brighter spots for the Spurs team Tuesday night. And the rest of these guys, like I liked what Dylan Harper came in off the bench and did. 8 points, 4 of 9 from field goal. Did not hit a single three. Took 3 of them. 5 assists. He brought some energy off the bench, and he didn't score. Looking at the box score, he didn't score a lot, but he was out there trying. He brought some good energy, some good mojo to the Spurs, and I almost say got him back into the game with only 8 points, but he brought the energy up, which was really good. Stefan Castle looked like he normally does, at least in the first half. In the second half, he sort of trailed off. 2 of 8 from three, 5 of 19 overall from field goal, not great. 13 points, 8 assists, 3 turnovers, 1 block, 1 steal, 7 rebounds. Need a little bit more from Stefan, even though I liked what he was doing against some of the matchups he had. Like when he had let's see here. Reed Shepard on him. He went at him when the defense collapsed. He knew to get downhill. He knew to get to the basket. Now, when he got down there, sometimes he'd be met with Jabari Smith, Alperen Sengun, Josh Okogie, Ahmed Thompson, but he was at least trying to get downhill and trying to get into his normal rhythm. And he got into it, and then he got out of it, and then he just couldn't get back into it. I don't want to say disappointed, but sort of a stagnant day for Stefan Castle. And then De'Aaron Fox didn't pop off the screen at all this game. 14 points, 6 of 15 from three from a field goal, 2 of 6 from three, 5 assists, 3 turnovers. Um, Not great. He did not look great out there. He didn't pop off the screen for me. And in a matchup like this, when you're playing a more well-rounded Rockets team, you would think a guy like De'Aaron Fox, who is the vet who's in his prime the most right now on the Spurs team, would do something. And 14 points is something, but if you get outworked, if you're getting outplayed by Julian Champagnie, who's your teammate, there's a bit of a problem there. There's a bit of a problem. Keldon Johnson looked okay. Um, Nothing crazy, but 12 points in 27 minutes, 6 rebounds. Yeah, just enough. And then for the Rockets here, the Rockets looked looked very in control. Looked great, moving the ball. Kevin Durant didn't out of his best game. Didn't take a lot of shots, but he didn't need to. This is what this Rockets team is here to do. Um, they're here to support Kevin Durant. They're here to, when he has a bad night or mediocre night, they can still get the team over the hump, get the win, move on to the next game. Jabari Smith had a decent game. Alperen Sengun did what he did, or did what he does. Ahmed Thompson looked great as always. And the star of the night, the leading scorer for the Rockets, Reed Shepard, 21 points, 8 of 17 from field goal, 4 of 10 from three. Really put, how do I say this? Really put the Spurs away. He put them away. He was the Spurs started to make a little run. They started kind of getting it kind of close, and it wasn't there. Once Reed Shepard hit like I think like three of these threes in like the fourth quarter, um, and they were all in a row too, seemingly, from what I remember. 4 assists, 2 rebounds. Let's see, no personal fouls. Played a really good game, and I've been hard on Reed Shepard, um, but I'm not saying if he plays like this, but if he can be like a mid to late teen scorer, he's gonna find himself. I want to say in the starting lineup because the Rockets value a lot of defense in the starting lineup, but he might be the first guy off the bench here very soon versus some guys like Tari Eason, Dorian Finney-Smith, and all those guys. Reed Shepard has a chance in his second year, third year, to really cement himself as a really good player. At least for this Rockets team, we'll see what happens in the future. But yeah, this Rockets team did what they did. KD 18, Şengün 20, Thompson 16. Those were all points. Ahmed had 10 rebounds. Şengün had 13 rebounds. KD had 7 assists. Just looked really good. This was a game where I was like, this is why you get Kevin Durant, one. But two, this is why you surround Kevin Durant with the type of guys that are entering their prime, have the young enough legs, can take the defensive assignments off Kevin. If Kevin doesn't want it, Kevin is obviously very good defensively, but when he's not really having it, when it's an off day, you kind of say, hey, just take a back seat for now, and we'll need you when we need you, and then you have Şengün leading the charge with 20 points in the starting lineup, and then Reed, like I said, coming off the bench, giving the team 21. So a really good game for the Rockets, and the Rockets win the game 111 to the San Antonio Spurs 106. That was on Tuesday night. And now to move on to the other game I really want to deep dive into before we get into some news and stuff. Lakers in Denver to play the Nuggets. This game was interesting. I'm gonna sound like Captain Obvious here, but you could really feel the necessity that the Nuggets sort of need Nikola Jokic to come back, and if they are to be truly competitive, this was a competitive game nonetheless. But it relied a lot on the shoulders of the two guys it's always been in the last couple weeks since Nikola Jokic has been out. Jamal Murray had 28 this game, 10 of 21, not great. Split his threes as well, 4 for 8. 11 assists though, which is good, and only one turnover. Very clean game from Jamal. Maybe not the best percentage wise, but very clean game. Peyton Watson 18, 4 of 8 from three, split his threes as well. 3 assists, 3 blocks, 3 steals, 1 block, 5 rebounds, 18 points. Superb night for Peyton Watson in a losing effort. But what are you gonna do? You're gonna need to take these level of shots when Nikola Jokic is out, and this is one of those tougher games for Peyton Watson, who isn't quite used to that yet. As being like, I guess like the secondary scorer. Yeah, he's the secondary scorer in the starting lineup. Yeah, I'd say that. Yeah. Spencer Jones continues to look decent. 16 points, 5 rebounds, 4 of 7 from three. Aaron Gordon has been returning off and on. I feel like I see him like every other game, and he's playing. I guess he's doing some like injury management or something. I don't know. 18 points for him, and then off the bench, Tim Hardaway Jr. 10 points. Um, the Lakers actually, the Lakers carved the Nuggets up at times. Um, Thanks to Luka Doncic, 38 points. It's my guy right there. That's what I like to see. 12 for 21 from field goal to equal 38 points. Took 12 free throws, made all of them except one. Had a triple double, 13 rebounds, 10 assists, 2 steals from Luka as well. Really good stuff for Luka. And he really didn't need anybody else. He was a man on a mission. LeBron chipped in with 19 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, almost a triple double himself. Although LeBron did start to look a little rusty, start looking more and more his age. 6 turnovers, not great. DeAndre Ayton, still a whole big nothing burger. 4 rebounds, sure. Jake LaRavia 7, and then Marcus Smart doing Marcus Smart things, um, doing some of his antics, but also scoring a little bit. 15 points, 4 of 9 from field goal, 3 of 6 from three, and 4 of 5 from the free throw line. There was one. I think one of those was a 3-point play. Well, not. He got fouled on a three. Is what I meant to say. So yeah, interesting little tidbit there. Off the bench, almost everybody was in double digits except Drew Timme, Jackson Hayes, Rui Hachimura all had exactly 9 points, which is crazy. I don't think of it. Very rare you see 3 players only get to 9. Usually one of them gets to 10. And Gabe Vincent 5. I do have some concerns still about this Lakers team, only barely just beating a Nuggets team that does not have Nikola Jokic. But a win's a win nonetheless. You can't really complain about this game if you're JJ Redick, the coach, and the Lakers as a whole. You can't complain about this game. This was a really, I was a grinded out game because the Lakers did sort of blow it out at some point. I mean, what was the largest lead of this game? Um, Let me see here. Team stats. Let's see. What was the largest lead of the game? 12. Yeah, 12. And then the Nuggets did come back at some point and lead the game um, by 16. But the Lakers just had the Lakers had Luka Doncic. The Lakers had the best player, and the Nuggets didn't. That's really what it came down to, which is stupid to say, and I probably could have said that at the beginning. But the Lakers won this game 115 to the Nuggets 107. And now I want to get into some news. I want to get into some stuff, and then we'll close the video out with these last two games that weren't very exciting, so I'll save them for the end. But well, let me ramble about rivalry week first here because I want to get this out of the way. Let me pull it up on my phone here. So rivalry week, yeah, it's rivalry week. It's 1 week. It's not weeks. Rivalry week. Um, Started on Tuesday. Obviously, talked about Spurs versus Rockets, which is actually a rivalry. Lakers versus Nuggets. Uh, yeah, it's more of a playoff rivalry. I don't really feel like it's been a regular season rivalry. So yeah, I guess yeah, bring some of that playoff intensity. When the NBA makes a schedule, they most likely forecasted that Nikola Jokic would play in this game, and it wouldn't just be Jamal Murray, Peyton Watson, and the rest of the guys versus Luka and LeBron. I'm pretty sure they thought it'd be a better game, and it was a good game. Don't get me wrong. That's definitely a rivalry. And then I said my piece about Cavs Hornets, and I said my spiel about OKC versus the Bucks. That was Wednesday night, and then tonight, Thursday night, um, Golden State versus the Mavericks in Dallas, I believe. Yeah, in Dallas. I don't see that as a rivalry. I mean, you do have Klay Thompson versus um, Klay Thompson versus Steph Curry, and I guess if everybody was healthy, it'd be Kyrie versus the Warriors again from 2016, 10 years ago now. Um, sure. I've never liked this rivalry. I only like this rivalry, liked past tense, when it was Steph versus Luca. And those games were always so freaking fun to watch. And now Luca is not a Maverick anymore, so this game is just kind of to me. And then Lakers versus Clippers. We're really doing Lakers versus Clippers in 2026. That's what we're doing. I get the games are sometimes really good, but I feel like every time over the past year and a half, it's either been a blowout for either team. The Clippers have blown out the Lakers, or the Lakers have blown out the Clippers. I don't know about that. Um, and then Friday you have Rockets versus the Pistons. Uh, sure, maybe there's some history I don't know about, but sure, I don't know. I don't know about that. Why are we doing that? Wait, what is the connection there? I what is the connection? I don't think they've never met in the finals. I don't think. I don't know what the connection is there. Why is that a rivalry? Sure, I get. Why not? Sure. And then you have Nuggets versus the Bucks, which in the grand scheme of things, again, if everybody was healthy, it'd be Nikola Jokic versus Giannis, two MVPs, multiple time MVPs going against each other. But this kind of falls flat now if Jokic doesn't play. That's tomorrow. And then Saturday on ABC slash ESPN, Sixers Knicks. Yeah, I guess. I mean, they've played some really competitive games over the last couple of years. Yeah, sure. And then Warriors Timberwolves. That's my second favorite actually. Warriors versus blank team. Um, Anthony Edwards versus Steph Curry, really good. Anthony Edwards was supposed to get drafted by the Warriors back in the day. So there's some history there. Steve Kerr wasn't the biggest fan of Anthony Edwards, or wasn't it? He wanted Anthony Edwards to do something in um, his draft workout, and Anthony was like, "I can't do that. I don't know how to do that." And then Lakers and the last rivalry week game, Lakers versus Mavericks. Of course, this is the one that like is the newest one, the freshest one. Luca in Dallas to play his old team. That traded him in the middle of the night. Um, this might be the last of this one because this Mavericks team is a completely different team and a completely different like organization from when he got traded from there. Like Nico Harrison isn't there. Anthony Davis isn't going to play in this game probably. I guess you could pitch it as Cooper Flag versus like Luca, the old superstar, like the older Maverick superstar versus like the young one that they brought in. I guess. I'm telling you all these games for one reason, because the NBA doesn't have rivalries anymore, and that's the word that's been going around, and I don't fully believe that. I don't think that's the case, but I don't think the NBA really nurtures some of these rivalries that have come up over the past couple of years. Um, Personally, why isn't there Spurs Dallas in here? You know, that's a great one. Yeah, I mean we go through a couple here. Let me pull up the actual like standings here, just so I can get an idea of the teams that are here. Like, why aren't we doing Knicks Boston? The Knicks are floundering right now. Boston is looking really good. Um, why aren't we doing? Because both these teams are really. Why aren't we doing Cleveland Toronto? Like, huh? Like what? Like, why aren't we doing? I mean, the East isn't really. There are some teams that should be really good that would be really good in rivalry games, but probably wouldn't be good this year. I'm more thinking of so this year. Um, like why don't we do like I get like Toronto and Cleveland is more of like a LeBron era thing, but like both these teams are Cleveland Cavaliers are okay. The Raptors are really good. Like let the Raptors or let Cleveland go up to Toronto and play the Raptors. It'd be really good. Why don't we have like OKC Rockets, Kevin Durant versus Oklahoma City in Oklahoma City? Why aren't we doing like Phoenix versus Los Angeles? Because those guys have had some really good playoff series in the past. Recently in the past. Um, why aren't we doing like Nuggets versus Minnesota? Like that's fresh from last year. They had a really good series last year. Why aren't we doing? I mean, I get like one of these guys is injured, but why aren't we doing Golden State versus Portland? Portland's like on the rise, and Golden State's sort of falling down the standings. Like why aren't we doing these? And like there's some other ones here that you probably maybe could sneak in. Like this probably won't be the best one, but Pelicans, like Lakers, like sure. Um, Grizzlies, Warriors, Grizzlies, Lakers. Like, come on, like there's some big missed opportunities here. I think, and this is no, this is actually kind of no. I'm gonna say it. It gets worse and worse every year. This rivalry week gets worse and worse every year. I think I talked about it last year briefly, but it gets worse and worse every year. So, um, do better, NBA. Do better. You have so many to pick from. Why are you forcing me to watch Cavaliers versus Hornets? Even though in the end it was a really good game, but throughout the course of the game, the Cavaliers were just dog walking the Hornets. The other piece of news I want to get to here before we talk about the games, last two games here at the end. Um, Jeannie Buss, former owner of the Lakers, still involved in some capacity, I believe, versus LeBron James. You can see Jeannie Buss top of your screen with the 2020 NBA championship. You can see LeBron the day he won the 2020 championship for the Lakers. Um, there's been some rumors and some things that have been circulating that are unconfirmed that Jeannie Buss was not the biggest fan of LeBron for a lot of reasons. Now, this is just hearsay. This is like rumors. Nothing is confirmed, at least from a reliable source that I know of, that Jeannie Buss, in her time as the Lakers owner, when LeBron was there, did not like. I don't say didn't like LeBron. Didn't like the whole circus that LeBron always brings when he joins a team. And I want to preface my comments here with um, LeBron is a thing unto itself. Like LeBron James, the name and what he brings is a whole entity into itself. And the Lakers are a whole entity by themselves. And you would think that the NBA, not the NBA, the Lakers and LeBron would be a beautiful partnership. Two of the biggest entities in basketball coming together to form a harmonious, you know, sorry, some technical difficulties there. You would think that LeBron and the Lakers, and by proxy, Jeannie Buss, the owner or the former owner of the Lakers, would form a harmonious relationship, and they would be this multi-championship, duo, and it really hasn't turned into that. And LeBron has sort of does what LeBron does and is de facto is his own thing, doing his own thing with his own people. Rich Paul, that all the stuff that comes with LeBron, and the Lakers have sort of been left on the I don't want to say um, left in a weird situation, and they recovered the situation by being lucky enough and some other things falling the right way, getting Luca, and they don't have to be in the LeBron business anymore. And the LeBron and Lakers era sort of has been what some Lakers fans would deem unsuccessful because it's only been one championship, and for some people that aren't named LeBron, and for some franchises that aren't named the Lakers, one championship would be enough. But the Lakers are the all-time leader in championships. So one isn't good enough. You want two, you want three, you want four, championships. LeBron hasn't been able to deliver. The Lakers haven't been able to deliver, and it's a two-way street. The Lakers we're failing to bring in talent that surrounded LeBron properly, but LeBron also needs to take some stake in that. He's made some of those calls. Let us not forget Russell Westbrook, Carmelo Anthony, that old guy team that just simply didn't work. A wasted year of LeBron's prime because of LeBron himself, because he thought it would work. Um, then you get sort of bailed out by the Luca thing, and the Lakers. Jeannie Buss sells the team, is still involved in some capacity with the team, not in any like official like way, I believe, just like as like a transition period between her and the new owner. Her showing the new owner how things operate, how the league operates, and everything like that, how the franchise operates, and the Lakers no longer being in the Buss family possession where it has been for what 40 some 50 some odd years now, because it was Dr. Bus, then it was Jeannie and the brothers and all that, and that's a whole thing unto itself. I'm not even gonna get into that. And now they finally sold, and LeBron actually not being a part of the now or the future, and the Lakers sort of being in a weird spot where we're gonna cater towards Luca and LeBron. If you want to stay, you can stay, but we don't need you. And that's sort of been the vibe around the Lakers. And yesterday, a report came out that Genie was never the biggest fan and never felt that LeBron was grateful to be a Laker, and that what the Lakers did for LeBron. One example was drafting his son, Bronny James. LeBron was never grateful that they did that. That Genie felt that LeBron should have been more grateful for that, because let's be honest here. And I've never been hard on Bronny. I think Bronny deserves his own. He's gonna do it in his own time. I don't think he needs to be compared to his father, even though he carries the same name, the exact same name. I don't think he should be compared to that. He's a 20-something-year-old kid. He doesn't need that on him. But the reality is, um, Bronny James isn't an NBA player. He just isn't. He's only an NBA player because his father wanted him to be an NBA player, and he's only in the league because of his father. That's the facts. I've always maintained the fact that Bronny should have stayed in college as long as physically possible to get his skills up, to be able to actually be an actual basketball player. And simply by merit, he is in the league. By nepotism. He's in the league, and once LeBron leaves, I don't think Bronny's going to be in the league. I think maybe he has 2 more, 3 more years after that, and then he's not going to be in the league. Um, but Genie presumably felt the same way as me. That's like, hey, this kid isn't an NBA player. We drafted him just to make you happy, just to make you, keep the vibes up in the locker room. It was pre Luca trade, so it was looking kind of dark. Um, we did all these things for you, and you've never been grateful for it. And I can see where Genie Bus is coming from. I can totally see it, where it's like, hey, we're the Lakers. You got to show us some respect. I don't care what you've done. You got one championship for us. That's not enough. And you want us to do all these things, and you felt like you held all the cards for so long throughout your career. And now that you don't hold the cards anymore, I'm not saying LeBron feels a certain way, but you can obviously tell on the court. LeBron doesn't care anymore. LeBron's here just to stat pad and do all his things and make sure some of his records are truly untouchable, and that's fine. But LeBron not being grateful for what the Lakers have done for him is kind of par for the course for LeBron. LeBron has never been grateful for anything except being drafted by the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Cleveland Cavaliers being able to build a championship team around him and being able to have a group around him in his prime where he could bring a championship finally to Cleveland. I think that's the only thing he's ever been grateful for. I don't think he's ever been grateful for what happened in Miami. I don't think he's been grateful for whatever happens with the Lakers. I think in moments he's been prideful and been happy that he's been able to be a Laker, and maybe perhaps, I don't think this would happen, but maybe get his jersey retired by the Lakers. Who knows? Um, but I think LeBron unto himself and the group around him, Rich Paul and all that, this is par for the course. LeBron doesn't care about the franchise; he cares about himself. And as much as LeBron is a very unselfish player on the court, you know, IQ, passing the ball, he's very selfish in some regards. And who am I to talk about LeBron? But LeBron is LeBron, and he's done a lot. And you could say he deserves to be a entity unto himself and be selfish and do all these things. But I think that's one of the reasons why this late in his career, people have started to turn on him and be like, LeBron, just retire already. Nobody cares about you. You're not an all-star starter anymore. You're not this. I mean, probably is the most iconic player in the league right now, but you aren't this untouchable player anymore. You are touchable, and yeah, that's my spiel. That's it. Again, I would get into this if stuff was more concrete, but like the baseline is that like Jeannie Buss is sort of like was never the biggest fan of LeBron, and I think she was very grateful that she was able to get one championship out of it, under her full tenure as a Laker owner, but one championship. But I think there are some other things that are definitely going to come out that are going to be more concrete once LeBron retires and once Jeannie Buss is fully out of the limelight, of the Lakers, purple and gold. So there you have it. The other news that I want to talk about here briefly, is the Knicks stuff. Basically, it's come out that like it's Karl Anthony Towns versus Mike Brown. There was an instance where Mike Brown embraced former player that he used to coach as a assistant coach, Draymond Green, when the Knicks with Karl Anthony Towns were in Golden State to play the Warriors. Mike Brown and Draymond Green had a moment. They shared a hug. They talked a little bit. There were some other shenanigans that happened in that game. And basically, Karl Anthony Towns and some of the Knicks did not like that. Mike Brown hugged a player that he had known for almost a decade, which is sort of weird to me that, like, hey, this is the guy I coached for like 10 years. I should be able to like talk to him and like be cool with him. The Knicks, this whole like tough guy thing, this whole like image and everything that the Knicks had because of Tom Thibodeau, and now they don't have because of Mike Brown, um, is sort of done to themselves. Um, I don't think a lot of players would care that like Mike Brown and Draymond Green like were nice to each other, or at least just like cordial. I guess it was actually in the game, it was like during a dead ball, but like still like, dude, like Mike Brown's been around longer than some of you have been playing basketball. Like you got to relax. And everybody has their issues with Mike Brown, but I think this is one of the most minuscule things that the Knicks locker room and Karl Anthony Towns could be upset about. There are like 1,000 different things you could be upset about when talking about Mike Brown, and this being one of them, this being one of the sticking points supposedly, is sort of childish to me, and I think it's indicative of Karl Anthony Towns as a person. It's indicative of the whole locker room as a group. If this is something that actually upset you, um, so what? So what? Um, Wrapping it up here, trying to keep this video short for you guys. The last couple of them pretty long. Cavs versus Hornets. This game was so boring. I actually like. I thought I was dreaming for a second because when I was watching this game, I was like, "Am I really here? Am I watching this right now?" Because the Cavs just blew the doors off the Hornets, and then the Hornets started to make a little comeback. Um, but it wasn't great. LaMelo Ball didn't play this game. Funny enough, when I was watching this, no, he did play this game. He came off the bench. That's why. That's why when I was watching this game, I was like, "Where's Lamelo?" Like I kept looking up and watching the game. I was like, "Where's Lamelo? Where is he?" He came off the bench. I didn't even realize he came off the bench. um, but he came off the bench, and he did not have his best game. He had his worst game of his career, actually. 2 points, one one for 15 from field goal. Did not make a single three. Took 10 of them. Two turnovers, 7 assists, and a plus minus of 16. Yeah, not a great game. And somehow the Hornets fought back and got into this game, but this is not a great game. This game was headlined in the starting lineup by Miles Bridges, the Charlotte Hornets' third all-time leading scorer in franchise history. Yep, you heard me right. And then this Bucks Oklahoma game. Um, this game wasn't upsetting to watch. It was just painful to watch. It was absolutely painful to watch. Watch a guy like Giannis play on this god awful Milwaukee Bucks team, coached by a god awful coach in Doc Rivers. Awful, 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 awful. I felt so bad for Giannis. Getting run over, steamrolled by a way, 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 way better, different stratosphere, different universe, different timeline. Um, Thunder team. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander had the easiest 40 points of his life. Super easy 40 points. AJ Mitchell had 18. Chet Holmgren had 10. And then Lou Dort had 13. Kenrich Williams had 18 off the bench. This was a truly upsetting game. And there was one moment, like I believe it was in the first quarter, where the Bucks were trying to inbound the ball. And it was Ryan Rollins trying to inbound the ball. And the Thunder weren't even going like 110% this game, but they immediately stopped any inbound the Bucks were trying to do, especially that one. And Ryan Rollins, who's been having a good season, a really good resurgence season, um, fumbled it, couldn't inbound the ball, and that's when I stopped watching the game and I had it on the background, and I was like, this game is not worth my time. I had it on the background, but that really epitomized their whole night, where they just couldn't get anything going. Kyle Kuzma, nothing ball, nothing burger, 9 points. Gary Harris got the start because of his defense, 3 points, no steals, no blocks. AJ Green, surprisingly really good, especially against this Thunder defense, 15 points, 4 of 9 from three. Bobby Portis came in, gave him something, 15 points. And Pete Nance, who I was unaware was even an NBA player until yesterday, 11 points, 4 rebounds, gave him something at least. And Cole Anthony off the bench. Cole Anthony is, God, he's so bad defensively and so bad when he's trying to do anything else but score. 5 turnovers, 17 points. Um, this game drove me crazy watching it, and I bet Bob's your uncle that it drove Giannis crazy playing in this game, because he was really at. You could tell he really wanted to win this game in like the first quarter, and then after the Oklahoma City Thunder blew it up by like 20 points, 30 points, you could tell Giannis is just going through the motions. And Giannis is a guy who doesn't go through the motions often. He goes 120% all the time. And this game, he was going about 80%. So yeah, that was it. That's the wrap up for um the last two games, some NBA news and stuff. So yeah, that's it. You guys will probably get one video this weekend. I haven't decided what it is yet, but keep your eyes peeled. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will see you guys next time. Cheers.